Welcome. Today, we're diving into one of the most elegant and powerful concepts in bridge, the simple squeeze structure. Now, I know what you might be thinking, squeeze structure? That sounds complicated. But trust me, once you understand the structure behind it, even the simplest squeezes can dramatically improve your game. So here's how we'll approach this. Part 1. Understanding the squeeze structure. Part 2. The blue principle and why simple squeeze templates matter. Part 3. Types of simple squeezes, defined and explained. Part 4. How these squeeze types are related. Part 5. Demo game, watch it in action. A simple squeeze is the most basic form of a squeeze play in contract bridge, used by declarer to force a single defender to discard a crucial card, thereby gaining an extra trick. The key is that the defender must be solely responsible for stopping both threat suits and must discard before declarer's threat cards can be cashed. Let's start by looking at the basic ingredients of a simple squeeze. A successful simple squeeze requires the following key elements. Only one loser left, the count is rectified. 2 threat suits, both guarded solely by the same defender. At least one threat card must be in the hand opposite the squeeze card, with an entry to cash it after the squeeze. The squeeze card is usually the last winner in a third suit, the free suit. When these conditions align, the declarer can force a defender to discard a critical card, and that's when the squeeze happens. How it works. The declarer plays a winner in one suit, called the squeeze card. An opponent, the squeezy, is forced to discard from 2 suits where they alone hold the defense's only stoppers against declarer's threats. If the defender discards a stopper in one suit, declarer can win an extra trick in that suit. If the defender discards from the other, declarer wins there instead. Alright, now that you understand the basic structure of a squeeze, let's take a moment to talk about something called the blue principle, used by Clyde Love, in Bridge Squeezes Complete, a helpful acronym I use to explain why learning simple squeezes is so powerful. The defender must be in a position where they are forced to play cards in 2 different suits. This often occurs when they have a card in each of the suits that declarer intends to squeeze them on. The declarer needs to have the correct number of losers in their hand and the dummy to be able to take advantage of the squeeze. If they have too many losers, they may not be able to win the contract even with a squeeze. Upper hand means at least one threat lies in the hand above, or after, the defender being squeezed. The card that is being threatened in the squeeze needs to be in the upper hand, the hand of the declarer, or the dummy. This ensures that when the defender is forced to discard, they will discard the threatened card, allowing declarer to win. Declarer needs to have an entry, a card that can be played without losing the trick, to the suit where the threat is located. This allows declarer to play the threat and force the defender to discard. So why focus on the simple squeeze template? Because every great squeeze starts with a basic framework. If you can visualize that framework, the location of the threat suits, the position of the idle card, and who holds the key discard, then you're already halfway there. In fact, once you get comfortable with the template, you'll start to see how all other types of squeezes are really just variations of this basic form. This mindset, thinking in templates, will make it easier to recognize squeezes during actual play, and not just in ideal textbook examples. Okay, now that we've laid that groundwork, let's move on and explore the different types of simple squeezes in detail. Next, we'll explore the main types of simple squeezes, each with its own unique flavor. Sinister, upper position, squeeze. Definition: a simple squeeze where both threats lie on the left of, over, the squeezy, and the squeeze card is played from the hand opposite the threats. Key features: only the defender sitting to the left of the threats can be squeezed. At least one threat is protected, while the other may be naked, lacking an entry. The squeeze card must be in the hand opposite the threats, and the communication must allow declarer to reach the established threat once the defender unguards it. Both threats are positioned over, to the left of, the squeezee. The squeeze card is played from the hand opposite the threats. Only one opponent, usually west, can be squeezed. Splitter squeeze, split threats. Definition: a splitter squeeze refers broadly to any simple squeeze where the threats are split between the two hands, with each hand holding a threat and the squeeze card potentially in either hand. The term splitter squeeze typically refers to a simple squeeze where the two threats, menaces, are split between declarer's hand and dummy. Key features: the threats are split between the two hands, but the squeeze only works against one defender due to the entry situation. Communication between the hands is crucial to cache the established threat after the squeeze. A split two suits threat squeeze is a specific case within splitter squeeze category, where the two threats are in different suits and in different hands, one in declarer, one in dummy, and each threat is accompanied by an entry in its own suit. A split two cards threat squeeze refers specifically to a simple squeeze position where the immediate winner in the threat suit is in one hand, for example, dummy, and the threat itself is in the other, for example, declarer. This is a particular entry configuration within the broader category of split threat squeezes. Ambidextrous squeeze. Definition: a simple squeeze where one hand holds a protected threat, and the other hand, opposite, holds a second threat along with the squeeze card. Key features: this layout allows the squeeze to operate against either defender, depending on which one guards which threat. Threats are split between the two hands, and the squeeze card can be in either hand. Either opponent can potentially be squeezed, depending on the layout, providing flexibility in execution. Backdoor squeeze. Definition: a simple squeeze where one hand holds a naked, unprotected, threat and the other hand holds the squeeze card and a threat with multiple protectors, entries, one of which is in the hand with the naked threat. Key features: this squeeze allows either opponent to be squeezed. After the squeeze, declarer typically goes around the horn, using the extra entry to reach the now established threat in the opposite hand. The presence of an extra entry, protector, is what distinguishes the backdoor squeeze from the ambidextrous squeeze. Entry squeeze. Definition: an entry squeeze in contract bridge is a type of squeeze play that exerts pressure on a defender not just by threatening high cards inside suits, but specifically by threatening the length of their holding in a side suit. It is a specific, well-defined type of simple squeeze, including cross-entry and twin entry are descriptive terms for the entry arrangements in squeeze positions. Key features: it threatens the length of a defender's holding in a side suit, not just the rank, and often arises when declarer has established winners in both hands but lacks the entries to cache them in the optimal order. Crisscross squeeze. Definition: a simple squeeze where each hand has a split threat, with the protector, entry, for each threat lying in the opposite hand. Both menaces, threats, are initially blocked by high cards, which act as entries after the squeeze. Key features: the squeeze card can be in either hand. When the squeeze card is played, either opponent can be squeezed. The threats are crisscrossed, each is protected by a high card in the opposite hand, so declarer must determine which ace or entry to unblock first to maximize the squeeze's effectiveness. Twin entry squeeze. Definition: it typically refers to a squeeze where each threat is accompanied by an entry in the same hand. Each threat has its own entry in the same hand, rather than being blocked by an entry in the opposite hand, providing two separate entries to cache threats after the squeeze. Key features: each hand contains both a threat and an entry, so after the squeeze, declarer can choose which established threat to cache first, depending on the defender's discard. The presence of twin entries, one in each hand, ensures that either established threat can be cached, regardless of which defender is squeezed. This is slightly different from the crisscross, where the entry to a threat is in the opposite hand. Opposite threat entry squeeze. Definition: a squeeze in which the entry to the established threat lies in the hand opposite the threat itself. Key features: this type of squeeze requires precise communication, as the established threat can only be cached by reaching the opposite hand via an entry. This is often seen as a variant or subtype of the basic simple squeezes, where the squeeze is effective only if declarer can use the entry in the hand opposite the threat once the defender unguards it. Each of these squeezes leverages positional dynamics, threat distribution, or entry manipulation to pressure opponents into costly discards, illustrating the intricate tactics in bridge endgames. These squeeze techniques share a lot in common. They all rely on the same core idea, forcing the defense into a lose-lose situation. Let's compare some types, showing how one can evolve into another, and how recognizing one kind of squeeze often helps you spot others. Think of them as variations on a theme, and once you get the melody, you'll start hearing it in your own games. Not all squeezes in bridge are classified as simple squeezes. A simple squeeze involves one defender being forced to guard two suits, with declarer holding threats and an entry to at least one of those suits. However, several important squeeze types fall outside this definition and are known as non-simple squeezes. Now comes the fun part, putting theory into practice. I'll walk you through a full demo hand where a basic squeeze is executed flawlessly. By the end of this demo, you'll feel confident identifying and executing a simple squeeze in your own play. Whether you're aiming to master the endgame or simply curious about how experts make those brilliant plays, this video will give you a solid foundation in one of the most beautiful techniques in contract bridge. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss future videos on bridge strategy and play techniques.
Subscribe our channel for more videos.